caught you off guard this morning, didn't you? Good morning. We know that there have been some horrible things happening in the world in the last week, and I found a reading by a young man named Jamie Barron, and I'd like to read a portion of it for you this morning. I'm angry. I'm angry that the rights of too many in Ferguson are being egregiously violated. I'm angry that people fear so much that which they don't understand that some will literally have to pay the price with their own life. I'm angry that Michael Brown was gunned down for walking and existing as a black man. I'm angry that someone who brought so much joy into the lives of so many felt his only option out of his pain was to permanently remove himself from life. I'm angry that hate and ignorance and the foolish devotion to being right governs how people treat each other. I'm angry that love, compassion, kindness, trust, respect, and understanding are not our default priorities, but are last on a long line of other harmful priorities. I'm angry that hate and intolerance have become so matter-of-fact that we hardly blink when they are splayed in front of us. I don't know why loving each other seems to be the most foolish pipe dream. I'd settle for tolerating each other as a stopgap for now. It's strange to me that writing about love and compassion feels braver than writing with snarky adulation about the things I hate and don't understand. I find that I'm far too quick to lay upon judgment than I am to lay upon understanding and empathy. It feels more natural to judge and to be intolerant than it does to love. I think that there's a natural response here to Ferguson and Robin Williams, and after the outrage is a feeling of helplessness. There are actual things you can do to help, such as petition government officials and send out the number to a suicide prevention hotline. These are steps to take and important ones to send out. Beyond that, there is a call here to every single person out there, and that is a call for more expansive love and compassion. This is a reminder that we are all connected, and we are all in pain, and we are all suffering, some more than others. If you are suffering less right now, give more to who needs it. Give love until you feel you cannot give love anymore. Shower compassion and kindness and be steadfast against the siren call of hate and mistrust. In times like these, it may be impossible to see the good and the light and the love. It may seem foolish to think these things exist, that there is a bit of light in any of these events, yet there always is. And we must trust that there always is. It's not easy, and it feels like a band-aid solution to a systematic problem, but we must start somewhere. We can start by giving more love than feels comfortable, by wearing our hearts not just on our sleeves, but on every last inch of our bodies. We can start by choosing to understand instead of choosing to judge. We can start by channeling our anger and our outrage into something productive and loving and worthwhile and important and purposeful. Because we all have a purpose here. We all have a reason for being in existence. And if your only goal in this life is to add love more than you add hate, then you will have left this world in better shape than you found it. Imagine the world we live in if that was everyone's goal. Start now. That is what you can take from suffering and tragedy. That is how you can fight against the helplessness of these events. That is how you can truly change the world and make a difference that matters. Be the light and the love that you currently do not see or feel. That was beautiful. I was playing along with you as I was sitting there. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe strongly in making the world a safer and more loving place for all creatures. We want to do it all, give our all, and create that utopian existence where everyone is loved and treated fairly, regardless of their race, creed, age, marital status, or sexual orientation, where everyone has an equal opportunity to be self-sufficient, to do fulfilling work that matters, and to be paid a fair wage for it, where everyone has access to adequate food and water, education, and health care. As Unitarian Universalists, we work hard to promote the power of love and to foster social justice in the world. We work on marriage equality, mass incarceration, immigration reform, and environmental issues. These are all lofty and admirable ideals, and I believe they are attainable. But I'll tell you the truth. Sometimes I get overwhelmed trying to do all the right things every day. Being spiritually mature at all times, being on the right side of every issue, being involved in every liberal cause. Being the perfect you can be too much sometimes. A couple of years ago, I realized I had to give myself a break. All I can do is live my best life and be my true self. For me, that means doing the best I can every moment of every day to be kind, loving, and helpful to others. When it's time for me to die, I hope I can look back and see that I strung together enough of those moments to be able to say that I had indeed lived my best life and that I did help. What about you? Are you busy being the perfect you, with two U's, that you've lost sight of the true you? Are you living your best life? Do you even know what your best life is? That's what I'd like to talk about today. For the next several minutes, I ask each of you to turn your attention inward. Your best life is one in which you live in line with your core spiritual beliefs. This is the true you. You've found your voice. The late Dr. Stephen Covey defined your voice as your unique personal significance. It lies at the nexus of your talent, which are your natural gifts and strengths, your passion, those things that naturally energize, excite, and motivate you, need, including what the world needs enough to pay you for, and conscience, that still small voice within that assures you of what is right and prompts you to actually do it. When you engage in work that taps your talent and fuels your passion, that rises out of a great need in the world that you feel drawn by conscience to meet, therein lies your voice, your calling, your soul's code. When you find your voice and use it, you are living your best life and being the true you. It sounds easy enough, but it can be hard work. You have to figure out what it is you want to do. No one can do this for you. What's really important to you? Dr. Covey says, deep within each of us, there's an inner longing to live a life of greatness and contribution, to really matter, to make a difference. We may doubt ourselves and our ability to do so, but you can live such a life. You have the potential within you. We all do. It is the birthright of the human family. Aristotle said, where talents and the needs of the world cross, therein lies your vocation. As UUs, we want to do it all and fix it all today. But I don't think that's humanly possible. We end up being scattered among a variety of causes and concerns, yet not really accomplishing any one thing. So let's revisit that definition of voice, the intersection of talent, passion, need, and conscience. Let's start with talent. What are you good at? Merriam-Webster defines talent as a special ability that allows someone to do something well. I have a law degree and many years of business and corporate experience. I've been pretty good at it. I'm also a musician. I'd like to think I'm a good lawyer, a good writer and speaker, and a decent musician. I also recognize that there are many more things I'm just not good at. I stink at bowling. I can't dance to save my life. You get the point. Each of us has innate special talents given to us by our Creator. We're given these talents for a reason, to use them. When you go home today, take a minute and think about what your talents are. What can you do well? What special skill or ability do you have? Next, there's passion. This one can be tricky. So I'll go to the guru. Oprah says, passion is energy. It's that simple. It's actually not that simple, but it's a good starting point. It's also said that passion is an intense emotion, compelling enthusiasm or desire for anything. Passion is that state of truly caring about a person, an issue, or a thing, all the way down to the core of your being. Passion is believing in something so fiercely that you're willing to fight for it and maybe even die for it. Andrew Carnegie said, if you want to be happy, set a goal that commands your thoughts, liberates your energy, and inspires your hopes. Napoleon Hill wrote that the starting point of all achievement is desire. Weak desire brings weak results. So what are you passionate about? I'm passionate about a lot of things. I'll give you a couple of examples. I'm passionate about financial literacy. My father died when I was very young, and I watched my mother struggle to take care of us on very limited resources. My father didn't leave a trust fund or a retirement account. I had no idea what those things were until I started working myself. Now I dedicate myself to making sure that the people I encounter know the basics of financial literacy: budgeting, saving, planning for retirement. I take every opportunity that arises to speak on the topic at churches, women's groups, to children, and at community centers. I'm also passionate about preventing people from driving under the influence. My brother was killed by a drunk driver, and I've spent many hours doing victim impact panels in the hope that I can dissuade just one person from having that drink and getting behind the wheel of a car. I give of myself to advance this cause. As Tiffany Madison writes, if we don't fight for what we stand for with our passionate words and honest actions, do we really stand for anything? I embrace my passions full on. They make me who I am. As Nicholas Sparks writes in Dear John, the saddest people I've ever met in life are the ones who don't care deeply about anything at all. I think those people aren't just sad. They simply aren't living. Let's move on to need. This is perhaps the easiest one for us UUs to grasp. What does the world need? Clean water, renewable energy sources, affordable quality health care, and education for everyone. The list goes on and on. The key to living your best life is in identifying that thing that the world needs that you have the talent and the passion to provide. Maybe you have the formal education and training to be a doctor in a rural or underserved low-income community. That's a need that you can fulfill. But don't sell yourself short. There may also be a need for volunteers to make outreach calls for that doctor's office. That might be the need that you can fulfill. Revisit your list of talents and see where they line up with the need you see in your community. Finally, there's conscience. Trudy Gauvier writes that the voice of conscience is something we've constructed for ourselves, taking into account personal experiences, feelings, social teaching, scientific findings, and relevant religious teachings. I say that conscience is that inner law by which we live. It's our innate sense of right and wrong, just and unjust, fair and unfair. According to Reverend Thomas Berg, authentic moral conscience, however, is not merely something that I roll up my sleeves and produce, the product of having weighed my feelings, likes, dislikes, my friend's opinion on the matter, advice from others, and so on. While all of this might serve to help me arrive at a genuine judgment of conscience, that judgment, if sound and genuinely proceeding from conscience, will proceed from the core of my being and will correspond to objective moral norms anchored in truth about what perfects us as human persons. By now, I imagine there are a few different thoughts bubbling up out there. Some of you are thinking, I already know this. She's not telling me anything new. I'm already living my best life. If that's you, I'm happy that you've taken the time to be fully present with yourself and do this work. It's not easy. And for some of us, it takes years to discover who we really are, what matters most to us, and how to make a difference in the world. Others of you might be overwhelmed because you've never really taken the time to think about your individual voice. Some time ago, Jane Roman of the UU Fellowship of Vero Beach in Florida wrote a letter to UU World. She wrote, "The articles in the spring issue about undocumented immigrants and the various Occupy movements are yet additional examples of UU's deciding that certain current events will become UU dogma and that anyone claiming to be a UU must agree with the UUA position. This makes it especially painful for those of us who joined because of the UU openness to all the various religions in the world, but now find most congregations to be much more concerned with social justice than with helping members think about and work through all the complexities and of spirituality and personal growth." Wow. This letter struck a nerve with me. I've shared with you some of the things I'm passionate about. And while I am involved in some of those UU issues, some of the things I'm passionate about don't necessarily line up with our hot-button agenda. And for a minute, I seriously thought I was a failure as a UU. Then I remembered what drew me to Unitarian Universalism in the first place: the recognition of diversity of thought and the encouragement for each of us to find our own truth, our own path, our own voice. There are some of you who have taken this message to heart and have found your voice, but you aren't using it. Many of us simply lack self-confidence. I'm not making a difference. I can't change things. There's a saying that hell would be if God were to show me things I could have accomplished if only I had believed in myself. Often we have all the confidence in the world, but still have lapses when our voice goes silent. I know I do. When that happens, 9 times out of 10, it's because I've become distracted. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I believe there are 5 major distractions to cultivating and using our voice. 1, lack of resources. You don't have the time to do the things that move your spirit. Perhaps you're the parent of a new infant. You feel you barely have time to shower, let alone engage in soul searching and self-care. Maybe you have a demanding career and work 80 hours a week. But you're not only shortchanging yourself, you're shortchanging your child. You're shortchanging your employer. You owe it to the child to be the best you can be. You'd be a better employee if you're spiritually and emotionally balanced. Heed the words of H. Jackson Brown Jr. Don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Louis Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein. It's hard to fight that logic. Maybe lack of money is your dilemma. My former company closed in 2009, leaving all of its Pennsylvania employees without jobs. I'm not extravagant by nature, but after I lost my job, I was momentarily gripped by fear that I'd never earn a decent living again and that I had to hold on to every single penny I had. But it doesn't take money to think or to feel. This was the time when I was able to do the most spiritual study. Instead of buying new books for my study, I went to the library or borrowed them. Lack of resources is a distraction, but it's not an excuse. Number 2, lack of education. I have an acquaintance who never went to college, but wants to work with at-risk youth. She says she can't because she doesn't have a college degree. I reminded her that she can volunteer at a neighborhood community center. She can be a big sister, or simply mentor one or more of the kids in her congregation. Depending on what she truly wants to do, a degree might be a necessity, but it's not a good reason to sit on the sidelines and do nothing. It's a distraction, not an excuse. 3, lack of opportunity. Perhaps the opportunity to do what stirs your soul just doesn't exist in this area. If rescuing beached whales is your passion, Kansas is probably not the best place for you to live. This may be an extreme example, but I think you get the point. I love tennis, and one of my dreams has been to work at a Grand Slam tennis tournament. There are no Grand Slam tennis tournaments in Wilmington, Delaware, where I live. But it doesn't mean I can't follow that passion. It just means I have to be creative. Maybe I move to New York for the 2 weeks of the US Open each year. If it means enough to me, and I want it badly enough, I'll make it happen. Living in Delaware is just a distraction. It's not an excuse. Number 4, technology. We're bombarded by images and information every single day. It's everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, text messages, phone calls, Instagram, even that Kardashian woman putting out a book of her own selfie pictures, which I don't understand. Every day, you see people staring at their smartphones for hours on end, afraid of missing a single message or a post. If something is truly important to you, if it really stirs your passion, you'll turn the technology off for a little bit. Technology was meant to make our lives easier, not to be our lives. It's a distraction from living your best life, not an excuse. Number 5, I lump these together. Overload and apathy. They go hand in hand. We all know someone who's a superman or superwoman of causes. They're passionate about absolutely every single issue that you name. This is the proverbial jack of all trades and master of none. You can't be that passionate about everything and do it well. It's just not possible. Or you're not being honest with yourself about what's really important to you. It's okay not to be involved in or connected with every single issue. I'll repeat that. It's okay to say no. Agreeing to do something that either doesn't move you or would overwhelm you distracts you from living your best life. Besides, you wouldn't do a good job if your heart's not in it. So just say no. Overload and apathy are distractions from living your best life, not excuses. Can we overcome these distractions with self-discipline, sincere desire, and commitment? Yes. Then comes the best part, being your true self and living your best life. You've already identified what stirs your passion. Now comes the time to do something about it. Getting a job in an area that moves you. Volunteer your time to work on a specific project or cause. Once a week, once a month, once a year. Whatever works for you and fits the needs of that particular project or cause. If you can't give time or are physically unable to give of yourself, give of your resources. Send a donation to that group rescuing beached whales on the California coast. Or just talk about how important your cause or passion is and then do nothing at all about it. Having talent, passion, and conscience in the face of great need while doing nothing about it is a waste. So I leave you today with a challenge, threefold challenge. 1, find your voice. Pinpoint that intersection of your talents, passion, world need, and conscience. 2, remove all the distractions and excuses that prevent you from cultivating that voice. And 3, use your voice and live your best life. Be the true you. May it be so.